This is Looking Glass Rock.
It's a massive, smooth, resistant granite dome that's famous among rock climbers, but also among geologists.
I mean, you have to admit, it does look a tad out of place in the middle of the heavily eroded Appalachian Mountains. So what is it? How did it get here? And why is it so smooth compared to everything else around here? Today, we're breaking down the geologic history of Looking Glass Rock here in Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina, and how it ties into the story of the very ancient Appalachian Mountains.
Looking Glass Rock is a granite intrusion that sits within the Blue Ridge province of the Appalachians.
So what is a granite intrusion, and how did it get here? Well, recall from my Appalachian Mountains video that this mountain range formed a few times actually, but most recently around 300 million years ago during the continental collisions that formed the supercontinent Pangaea.
Because this was a continent-continent collision like the modern-day Himalayas, the Appalachian Mountains were super high and rugged.
In fact, they were so enormous that even today, 300 million years later, they still haven't fully eroded. That said, Looking Glass Rock does seem to stand out as a seemingly more resistant feature than the surrounding terrain. So, what's up with that? Well, the granite that makes up Looking Glass Rock is an intrusive igneous rock,
meaning that it did not erupt at the surface and cool quickly like its extrusive equivalent, rhyolite, does.
Rather, it formed from molten magma that cooled and crystallized slowly underground.
This is why granite has larger crystal grains than rhyolite. Slower cooling equals bigger crystals.
So while the composition of granite and rhyolite are the same, primarily quartz, feldspar, and mica, the texture is different. And a huge granitic mass like this that cooled before it reached the surface is often called a granite pluton. It's almost like the roots of this ancient mountain building event were frozen in time, and then of course later exposed by erosion. So let's talk about timing. This granite formed during the orogenies or mountain building events that built the Appalachian Mountains. And although most mountain ranges only require one tectonic collision to form, the Appalachian Mountain Range took a total of 4 collisions to form, just to be extra. Okay, I'm kidding about the mountains having a consciousness, but not about the collisions.
There was one huge continent-continent collision over 1 billion years ago that formed the supercontinent Rodinia, which built mountains in this region for the first time.
Then around 500 million years went by, and those mountains completely eroded away. But then again, around 500 million years ago, another collision rebuilt the mountain range. And that time, there wasn't enough time in between that and the next 2 collisions, around 400 and 300 million years ago respectively, for it to erode. So the mountains kind of continually built upon themselves until the last one, the most recent one, 300 million years ago, was the one that formed Pangaea.
Now, obviously, these time frames are approximate. It takes tens of millions of years for these collisions to play out, so keep that in mind when I tell you a single number. But those 3 latter collisions, called the Taconic, Acadian, and Alleghanian orogenies, were what formed the Appalachian Mountains that still stand today.
And we think Looking Glass Rock formed during the Acadian event, nearly 400 million years ago. So imagine you're a magma body beneath a Himalayan-scale mountain range. You're hot, you're molten, so you rise and intrude into other older metamorphic rocks. And then you cool and crystallize underground. And then over the next 300 million years, everything around you gets stripped away until you are exposed at the surface. And then eventually tiny humans start climbing on you. So you get the picture. We're essentially standing on a rock that was once kilometers below the surface.
But why so smooth? I actually was recently at Enchanted Rock in Texas, which has a very similar story and is also very smooth and dome-shaped.
The reason granite plutons tend to look so smooth and dome-like is because of a process called exfoliation. Because the granite formed deep underground, under immense pressure, when erosion did finally remove the overlying rock, a lot of that pressure was released. And the granite expanded slightly, and still is expanding slightly over time. And that causes it to fracture into these curved sheet-like layers.
These fractures are called sheet joints, and here at Looking Glass Rock, they're a rock climber's best friend, I can imagine.
That said, the slabs do slide off from time to time, so be careful out there.
And the reason this huge granite pluton stands out among its surroundings is because most of the rocks here in the Blue Ridge province are metamorphic gneisses and schists that erode very differently than granite, which is just mechanically and chemically more resistant.
The surrounding metamorphic rocks weather and break down into more forested, irregular topography.
But this is not the only granite intrusion here in the Appalachians. In fact, nearby, there's another one called Sliding Rock that people slide down in the summer. I haven't tried it yet, not sure if I will. But anyway, there are dozens other granite intrusions here across the Appalachians where you can see these weird, irregular, knobby-like features sticking out from the surrounding eroded mountain terrain.
You know, I often talk about these timelines of millions and hundreds of millions of years like it's nothing because I'm so used to it as a geologist. But when you sit here and think about this rock crystallized, formed before the Atlantic Ocean even existed, it's kind of just wild. It's wild to think about. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed learning about Looking Glass Rock. And if there's anything else you guys want me to cover in the Appalachian Mountains, it's kind of a closer area, easier for me to get to, especially with Suki. So if you like seeing Suki or Geodog in these videos, especially the field ones, the Appalachians is the closest thing for me to get to. So if there's anything else, any other features, or, you know, I did the waterfall one, anything else you can think of geologically in the Appalachians, I'm all ears. So comment below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. And a huge granitic mass like this that cooled before it reached the surface. Suki, come here. Because the granite formed deep underground under immense pressure. Suki. She almost hit the tripod. So we're at the trailhead to Looking Glass Rock, and I'm already seeing some beautiful schist, which is that all the parts of the metamorphic rock that surround the granite intrusion. So kind of crazy. Now we're gonna go find the granite. It is like 5 a.m. so you know it's kind of early. Oh, there's Suk pooping. This is great for the outtakes. Look at the foliage. Oh my god. Suk, what do you think? Oh my goodness. Well, too bad it won't fit in the car. Hey Suk, let's show them what it looks like when we turn off the headlamp. Oh my god. It's pitch black out here. That is nuts. Okay, Suki's frantic because we lost Mr. Cameraman. Oh, there he is. Oh, she's wagging. There he is. Oh my goodness. She thought we lost you because we stopped to look at rocks. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
That was sweet, Suk.
That was sweet. We love the unpaid cameraman. We got these big quartzites out here as well. What's really cool about the quartzites is that these represent fused sandstone back when this continental margin was a passive margin and there were beaches depositing sand. So these quartzites are essentially just reheated and fused sand grains from ancient beaches in between continental collisions when the margin was calm again. And there was just a nice little beach. So we're also, again, today in the modern world, in another period where this continental margin is passive. So the sandstones are getting deposited again at the east coast, and then someday, with another collision on that coast, they'd get metamorphosed again and form more quartzites. So pretty cool. Here's the funny thing. When it comes to hiking up a mountain like this, I hike pretty fast. Tyler hikes a little slower, so it kind of works out that I stop for rocks every now and then, because then he catches up, then gets ahead, then I catch up, and so on and so forth. But he was just asking me, how do you hike so fast straight up a mountain? Like, how are you so in shape? And I was like, secret is, I'm not in shape. I just have the promise of big rock at the top of said mountain. And that is my secret. Always hike toward a big rock, and then you will be motivated to move quickly.